Welcome to Power Cave Training. Today I want to talk a little bit about my experience, my background in the lifting and fitness industry. And I always think it's important to know that you can trust the person that you're watching. When I watch videos, I always check out the person, make sure that I know their background. The books I read, I check out the authors and make sure that I'm seeing something that's real and it fits in line with the things that I know to be true. So a little bit about me. I was a sickly kid, had rheumatic fever when I was 7. I was given a death sentence at that point, and then when I got out of the hospital, they said if I lived a very sedentary life, that I'd live to be about 26. And of course, I didn't believe that. I didn't really think about it a lot. I kind of just lived a little bit of a wild life, but I was actually flat on my back and basically bedridden for a year. Homeschooled. They brought my homework home. So, and that I got a little soft and pudgy, and it seemed like it's always physically behind everybody in school. I was picked on a lot, bullied a lot, and a lot of people get upset about being bullied and think it should be stopped. And I'm kind of on the other side of the aisle there, because what happened to me is what drove me to become what I did later in life. It pushed me in that area. So when I was 13, I started lifting weights. My brother got a weightlifting set, and not knowing much about it, I just worked at it by myself every night for a couple hours. And by the time I was in high school, I had changed a lot of the things that had happened to me, and I would try out for the football team. I played football, I wrestled, and I kept lifting weights. Back then, lifting weights was frowned upon back in the 60s and 70s for sports, in the early 70s. And I was actually benched for getting caught lifting weights because it made you muscle bound and slow. So I made it through high school, and then I just kept on lifting. And then at 37 years old, in 1987, I met my training partner, still my training partner, and he asked me if I ever powerlifted, and I said no, I didn't think I was strong enough. And he said, well, you are. And we started competing together, and that was way back in 87. Now I'll be competing in May 17, 2025, and that'll be my 110th meet. I'll be competing with 2 of my grandsons. So now we'll have competed with all 3 of my grandsons, and then hopefully maybe my great-grandchildren are getting close to that time where one of them can start lifting. So I'm looking forward to that. I read everything I could read. I used to have stacks of magazines and a lot of trial and error and learning stuff, and I'm still very hungry to this day. Right now I'm reading 4 books on fitness and mental training. So I never get satisfied, and I'm always curious. So over the years, when I started competing, I was probably one of the weaker people. It took me 4 years to win a trophy. I won a 4th place trophy 4 years after starting, but the bug bit me. I loved lifting just to lift. So although I get teased a lot about not being very good, I'd tell some of the guys that I would outlive them all, and I beat them because I'd outlive all of them. And so some of that's come true. So that was fun. I have been fortunate enough in the years I've been lifting. I won 10 world championships in the deadlift. I won 2 in the bench press. I won 12 World Cups in the deadlift, 4 in the bench press. So now that might sound like a lot, but in the real world, if you put all the guys my age and my weight in a meet, the best of the best, I don't think I'd be a blip on the radar in that room. So I'm wise enough to know that I'm not all that as strong as a lot of people would think. So, or if they were in the same position. So that's how I look at that. It's been fun. And then in 2015, I was put in the Hall of Fame, the WABDL Hall of Fame, both as a lifter and a coach. I always think of myself as a better coach than a lifter. I've coached 27 world champions. My lifters have set over 35 world records, hundreds of state records. So it's been one of the more satisfying things that I do. I kind of miss it when the people leave and then I lose contact with them, but that's part of the business. My certifications, I was certified in the 90s by a fitness company that's no longer in business. And then in 2007, I got certified by one of the big national chains for certifications. And unfortunately, I was very disappointed in it because I thought they were wrong about 70% of the stuff they taught. And having been a competitive lifter, I knew if I followed their stuff, I would have been hurt a lot more than I have been over the years. So I learned enough to pass, and then I didn't get recertified. So one of the reasons I can't get jobs in health clubs or gyms now is I won't get recertified, and I get a little bit of the age discrimination, I think, too, because I apply at some that I know I'm way overqualified for, and I don't even get a reply from them or an interview. So it's something you just learn to live with. I have done a lot of other sports. I've played softball, I played tennis, I played racquetball, taken judo, catch wrestling, pressure point fighting, self-defense. I've actually taught self-defense for 10 years, so I love that kind of stuff too. And then I got into therapy. I've hurt myself in sports. I actually got hurt more doing other sports than powerlifting, but judo was probably the most brutal on my body. I tore my hamstring, broke my toe, had a lot of aches and pains. My knees bothered me, but it was a fun experience. So you learn, and that's how I learned mobility. Because if you don't make your body move in a lot of different directions, you become stiff and you don't move very well. Powerlifters tend to just powerlift, and I've been told many, many times, if you would just powerlift and give up all this other stuff, you'd be a lot better powerlifter. You'd be one of the best in the world. And my reply is, I watch guys younger than me that they can lift a lot of weight, but they walk crooked. They have their shoulders look forward, their heads dip forward. They can't bend over. They can't bend down and pick something up. So I decided I would rather be able to move at an older age than to continue to lift a lot of, be the best of the best lifters. So that's kind of where I left it. I have, my injuries have been, of course, a broken toe. I've injured the pad on my left foot training for a walking marathon, the first time I ever did that. And it took a long time for that to heal up. I've never had surgery on any of that stuff. I had, my knee was having issues in '94. They wanted to do a total knee replacement. I had another doctor look at it, and he thought it could just heal by not working it too hard. So I did that, it healed. So I had severe arthritis in my neck, and they gave me Vioxx for it, and that turned out to be a pretty dangerous drug. So I just found out ways to use bands to move my head and against tension, and everything kind of came back so I could move fairly freely for my age. Then in probably 64, 65, I had a frayed bicep tendon where it attaches to the bone in there, and they wanted to cut it and reattach it, trim it, reattach it. When I asked them, I think it's 64, and when I asked how long it would be before I could bench press, they said, well, you're done, you can't bench press. Either way, you won't bench press anymore. So I opted not to have the surgery. I made up my own program with kettlebells and bands to strengthen that area. 4 years later, I benched 371 in a meet. And in 69, I believe, maybe 68, I was training for a meet, and I had hit 405 in training, and for sure I was gonna get a 420 or 425 at that age, which was I think a pretty good bench press. But then 2 weeks before the meet, they shut it down because of COVID. So I didn't get to do it. And then that summer, lifting in my garage, just lifting lightweight, I tore my rotator cuff on this side. And again, the same prognosis was a 60 to 70% chance it would be successful. No more bench pressing, no more deadlifting. So I opted not to have that done. Since that time, I've deadlifted 360, and my heaviest has been 393. I've done that 4 different times since then. And then I'm hoping to get back over 400 again in this meet coming up. So those are the things you can accomplish, and I still have a big curiosity for different ways of doing things. Most of the therapy I learned to do, which I'm pretty good at, and I can show, one of these days I'm going to take a video of just showing all my therapy tools, but I learned all that from necessity because I couldn't afford all the money to go to chiropractor or massage therapist. I just didn't have the finances for that, so I learned to do a lot of that myself, and I can do it on other people pretty good too. So when my lifters would get something that would jump up during a meet, I could work on that and get it fixed for them. And usually I could finish the meet with no further damage being done. So that's how I got into the therapy part. And then the bands kind of came along with that. I got my first set of bands in 2006. And they were only making one or two companies made them. They were little 8-inch round bands. And then there was one from a company called Iron Woody that made 12-inch bands. And so I bought sets of all those, started using them, and then the big long bands came out, and I just kept using them, finding ways to improvise and use them myself. They've been very helpful. I love bands. They're a safe way to train, a good way to push yourself without getting hurt, and to add additional load to a weight. And then I discovered Indian clubs, which I've used a lot since then, and that's been a real find for me. I love those. Mace bells and different ways, sledgehammers, different things to swing to build this shoulder girdle back up. I got certified in kettlebells back in 2006. Before there was much of a certification process, we didn't get nothing. We just took the classes and took the test, and we supposedly were certified. So I do a lot with kettlebells. And so competing's been a big thing. I still, at 72, soon to be 73, I can still shoot baskets with my kids. I can throw footballs and catch footballs from them, throw a baseball and hit a baseball. So my goal this summer is to do a little bit more running, a little more sprinting to try to get the body functioning better. I do a lot of mobility work, and I have all my videos. You go back as far as you want to go, and you can look at exercises that I don't know that I'm the inventor of them, but I never seen them before I did them. And so I have a lot of those. If you go back, I've got over 170, I think, videos now on YouTube. And a lot of them are meets and little things that we did going along the way. So that's my background. I hope that you learn a lot watching my videos. And I hope to see you again on Power Cave Training. If you like what you see, please share it. And hit the like button, that helps us a lot. I've picked up a lot more subscribers since we've started asking for that. And then if you want to subscribe and hit the notification bell, we'll give you more information as we go. So thanks again for watching Power Cave Training. Look forward to doing more videos. See you next time.